They kind of ruined the Saw movies for me when they stopped giving them a choice.
Yeah, and I mean, I never watched Saw movies, obviously, but I did read about them, and just some of the methods, I was like, this, after a while, I just really couldn't bear it anymore. It just got to the point where this is so implausible now that it's just not a point. Whereas, you know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can't tell me, after seeing that movie, or, you know, just hearing about it or the plot of it, you can't imagine you being in your car and going down a really dark road surrounded by trees. You can't tell me you get that little point where you kind of amuse yourself with what if there was a guy that was actually out there doing that. And you know, the smallest sounds. One of the biggest things that creeps me out is sounds. There was kind of this is kind of where the phobia of the dolls came from for me. Anybody who doesn't know, I have a severe phobia of dolls, which is really ironic, but it's because of Robert the doll.
She has no problems with
stitchpunks, or it's porcelain and dolls that kind of close their eyes when you move them and stuff like that, or actually the kind that make sounds when you move them or when they can motion sense. Yeah. But the really creepy thing that bugged me about that was that anybody who's ever seen or been to the Island of the Dolls, very haunted stories and stuff of items being possessed. I very much believe in that. My dad has been possessed by demons before. It took a couple of priests to keep him held down when he was with his previous wife before my current mom. And so that kind of stuff really creeps me out. In addition to that...
Well, I'm just going to interject for a second and say that Shrineart, I'm the skeptic, okay, guys? While there's been some really creepy shit that has happened in my family's history in some ways, and there's been creepy shit that's happened in her history and stuff, I can't say that I'm a full believer because it hasn't happened to me.
Yeah.
So.
Which is fine.
I'm a major skeptic.
Yeah, I mean, hell, when I was freaking...
But I still get creeped out in dark rooms at night.
Oh, yeah. This is the chick who is terrified of being on the edge of a bed because she feels like someone's going to jump up and grab her.
It's a childhood fear. We read this ghost story when I was a kid about this guy being eaten by this thing that was on the side, that came up at the bottom of his bed, and it has freaked me out ever since. I cannot stand to sleep near the edge of the bed because I get so freaked out unless there's something right next to the bed that keeps me from thinking there's something right there that's going to grab me. It's really a really
and you have to understand,
I have to have blankets above my ear, the whole 9 yards.
She takes this to a degree where I'm on the edge of the bed and she's snugged right up against me. She's got her mask on, everything's over. She's got 5 or 6 blankets, and in the morning the bed is just soaked with sweat because we've got the fan blaring.
Thanks for making me sound disgusting.
No, I love you.
Yeah,
I love you. But I mean, seriously,
it's true though. Well, that's also because of heat regulation. I get really cold.
Well, yeah, so do I, because I noticed I've been sweating too, like that. But another thing
and then by the morning the house is heated up, and
yeah, and I mean, sounds are a really big thing for me.
Yeah.
I know a lot of you like to listen to your music loud. I'm sure plenty of you have had the incident where you're listening to music and there's that one little instrument in the background of the music that's only there every few seconds, but
and you keep mistaking it for something else.
And you think something's in the room, or you see something out of the corner of your eye that kind of goes with the sound. One in particular, one incident I can never forget. I actually had it here. A second time here, which is where I came into your room and slept with you guys.
Yeah.
But a few years back, I was laying in bed and I had just finished seeing Darkness Falls. Anybody who knows Darkness Falls? It was that really corny kind of horror flick about the tooth fairy going bad.
It was a good.
It's a good movie. It's definitely a good movie. You guys need to see it. But I love twisted fairy tales. But I was laying in bed, and I always have my computer screen on, so it's not like I'm completely in the dark or anything. But I was laying there, and I was facing away from my closet doors, and I was right there on the edge of just falling asleep, and I heard this sudden, very loud growling sound, and it sounded like there was a really angry dog behind me. And just on reflex, my body kind of tenses up because I have been attacked by a dog before. I got the scars to prove it. I'm not terrified of dogs or anything, but it's just that...
Instinct.
It's just on instinct because you hear it, and it's like, okay, this is what I need to do. I just tensed up and I froze, and this growling went on for like a minute or so, and I was too scared. I wanted to turn over and see what it was, just to whatever, grab it or throw it or do something with it, but I couldn't move. And eventually it just dropped out, and I felt something move on the bed, but I didn't move. I felt something move on before the growling and after the growling. That I very distinctly remember. And I have cats, so I know what the cats sound like or feel like when they're jumping on the bed, and it wasn't that. But I heard this growling, and after it was over, I was in bed. I stayed there for about 30 minutes. I kept my eyes closed, and then slowly opened my eyes, and my screensaver was on, so I still had light in the room. But then I slowly rolled over, and the closet doors are shut. Right where my window is shut. The blinds are down. It's not like anything got into the room or anything, but it wasn't really something you could imagine. It was right there. And then when I came down here, I had that exact same thing, but it was a little bit different. It wasn't as loud, for one. It wasn't right next to my ear. But I was upstairs in the one room, and I haven't been in the room since, which is kind of hilarious.
We don't really go in this room.
We don't go in this room.
It's not even because of this incident. It's just we haven't used this room for anything.
But, I mean, we keep the door shut and everything.
Well, we keep the door shut usually on both rooms. It's just Itty-Bitty's been kind of playing around the other rooms, so we've left it open.
Yeah.
This was the room that was originally going to be our roommate's baby's room when my roommate was living here.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with the room. It's a very open room. But I had the exact same experience there as well, and I just kind of was like, okay, I'm not going to do anything about it. It's just kind of like the previous incident. I'm just going to go to sleep. Went to sleep, but I can tell you right now, the very next night, I was in their bedroom, and I moved everything in there.
Now, the amusing thing about this, too, is that I have a similar story, but mine is not nearly as terrifying. So, when I was a kid, I was about 12, 13. We moved from this really gorgeous old farmhouse.
Not to interrupt you or anything, but, it kind of makes sense that I might have a subconscious fear of dogs after that attack.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, a lot of the characters that I start are
canine.
Dogs. Are canine.
And they're very fucking terrifying.
I just now realized this, but I'm not terrified of dogs. That's the thing.
But, so, I'm about 12 or 13, and we moved from a very old farmhouse to a double-wide grounded trailer because my parents bought the land. They were planning on building a house on it. And they did build a house on it much later, but when they got this trailer, it was my first time living in a double-wide trailer. If anybody has ever lived in a double-wide trailer before, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about when I say the place shakes. High winds, anything. So I'm laying there in bed. It's our first or second night in the house, and while I'm laying there, my room kind of trembles a little, and I hear this growling noise, and I'm freaking out. I mean, I get up, I run to the master bedroom, like, Mom, Dad, oh God, I'm freaking out. There's something outside my window. I think there's something outside my window because I hear this growling sound. There's something in my room.
I don't even have the balls to move.
Find out, it's the fucking dryer on. The dryer is on, and it's making the whole house shake because we have an aluminum frame house. And I'm just like, damn it. But, no, the other thing was when she was talking about sounds freaking you out. This is one of the things, the movie The Grudge, I love it, but it terrifies me. And that's actually not the sound. The sound bothers me, but no, you see.
We did that in the military.
You see.
Scared the piss out of people.
The Grudge uses such a wonderful technique with the sounds. Yeah, most movies it's a jump scare. No, The Grudge does this thing where they stick it in the background of everything. If you've ever seen it, there's a scene on the bus that freaks me out so bad, where she's on the bus and she's sitting there and she's looking out the window. She's just kind of spaced out. You're thinking it's daylight. Nothing can go wrong. I love the fact that the ghost comes out in daylight in this fucking film. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah, because it's very true.
So she's sitting there. She's looking out the window. Everything's just kind of calm. And you hear a bike go past. And if you listen closely, that bike, and the undertone of the bike noise, you hear that groaning sound that she makes. And then the face shows up in the window and she freaks out. I love that. I love that they do that. And there's other scenes in the movie where you hear that. You hear that little droning sound in the background. You hear the cat in the background. And that's so perfect. That, to me, is really fucking you up kind of psychologically throughout the movie.
Yeah, because it becomes, you kind of get conditioned to hearing it. And once you start putting it, I mean, it's kind of like Pavlov's dogs. It doesn't matter what environment you put the dogs in. Once they hear that bell, no matter how small or loud it is,
it creeps you out.
They go.
It automatically unsettles you.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, it's very creepy.
Yeah. We're gonna... Thanks, Acro. Now we're gonna be up all night. Freaked out.
Fuck. So, anyway, yeah, that's kind of how the chimaeras work.
No, we plan on sleeping anyway. Yay!
I'm going to bed after this.
After this?
I'm not going upstairs. Fuck that shit. I'm staying in the light. Well, no, I mean, after all the questions are done.
Oh, okay.
Durr. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where all the chimeras came from. All of our deepest, darkest fears and all that shit. We love putting terrifying things and doing terrifying things to our characters.
And really, there's more we could go into that. If anybody has questions on that, feel free to ask. Because a lot of my characters' problems come from actual problems
and
or
events that have happened
or
already.
actual people I know. So,
Like Eden's Crew entirely, I could pinpoint a lot of the events that have happened. But, I mean, I'm thinking of having possibly, because we don't have a lot of chimeras, and I don't want to kind of branch it to just where they're all animalistic in some way, but I was thinking of having a contest maybe in the 9 forum and in our stitchpunk groups where you guys actually get to create chimeras for RagNBone. So, we might have to do that. But until then, yeah, it's the chimeras. Yay!
Yay,
okay,
chimeras!
So,
I can draw more dirt chimeras.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next question, which is okay.
And say nothing.
Bye!
Yeah. Bye!